Hi, everyone. My name is Mary Eleanor Power, and I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications for the College of Continuing Education at Dalhousie University. And I'm delighted to be here and welcome Janice Petley, who will lead us through the next 30 minutes and give us some insight into change management and also share a little bit about some courses that we have coming up in the near future. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge that Dalhousie University is located in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq. We are all treaty people. And just a little bit about Janice before we get started. Janice has over 20 years of project management experience. Her typical assignments are definitely project management, but are anything but typical. Her experience spans a wide range of projects from classical theater at the Stratford Festival and symphony concerts in the United States to stadium and arena opera productions in cities such as Tokyo, Munich, and Brussels. Whether it was a large sporting event at the Rogers Center or an opera with a cast of 1,000 in a bull ring in Madrid, Janice has worked on high-risk, innovative, challenging projects. As many of her events were broadcast live to air both nationally and internationally, she fully understands the necessity of flawless project execution. She holds a BA from the University of Western Ontario, a BEd from Queen's University, an MBA, and is designated as a project management professional and a certified Agile project manager. So thanks very much, Janice, for joining us. And I would encourage you, and Janice will walk through this in more detail, but I would encourage you to add any comments and questions in the chat, and we can address them as we go and also at the end. So Janice, over to you. Thanks very much.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, so people are probably going, she's a project manager. I thought this was a change management presentation, and it is. But as a project manager, what do? I create change. And I've spent decades creating change. And as project managers, we've always dealt with change management. We just really didn't necessarily always have the body of knowledge and the understanding of the discipline that we have now. So my most recent certification actually is the CMP. I actually took the program and I went through the course. So as I'm speaking to you today about this program, my perspective is as someone who's actually been through the process. I'm not going to be teaching the course. It's a colleague of mine who's absolutely fabulous, who's going to be teaching the course, but I'm going to tell you about the certifications, about the course, and we're also going to get a little bit into some change management things just to kind of get the juices flowing and to understand a bit more about change management. So logistics, you found the chat panel. I see some people have found the chat panel, so that's great. And I don't know if mine lines up with yours, but what I will tell you about is the annotate on the top. On the top, you're going to have a ribbon that says annotate. And then when you hit the annotate, there's a stamp feature here that you can use. And there's also a draw feature you can use. So we may use some stamps and we may do a little drawing as well. Because I like to keep it interactive. Okay, so here is the agenda for the day. And we're going to be looking at the certifications, but we're also going to be talking about change management. So I'm going to try to strike a balance between information transfer and you actually learning something about change management. We will look at the two certifications and what certification means. There's not a right or wrong time to ask a question. You can ask a question anytime, and we'll have some time at the end for questions. And
Janice, there are two raised hands in the chat here. So I just wonder if you might be able to include Raylene or...
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm not seeing any raised hands because in my chat here, probably because I'm just a panelist.
Yes. So if there are any challenges that people are facing, perhaps just included in the chat there.
Yes, if you have any technical issues, you can message. If you go to instead of all panelists, you can actually do the drop-down menu and go straight to Dalhousie University College of Continuing Education, the host. And Mary Eleanor can help you with any of those technical issues.
So I think it may have been just an accident. So thanks, Raylene, I appreciate that. And Lisa, if I just see your hand raised there, if you have a question, feel free to pose it there.
Okay, yeah, no, that's an accident. Okay, no worries at all.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so two certifications. Two certifications means two exams. But anyway, we'll tell you about those. So why should you take this program? Well, certification is actually becoming more and more important in a lot of industries and a lot of organizations, and it's a great way to show that you actually understand a certain body of knowledge and that you're ready for, more assignments or potentially more interesting assignments, more responsibility, that sort of thing. So having the certification is always a good thing. Some people that take the course are actually change managers. They're in the role of, and they actually have the title, or other people are simply leading a change or managing a change, but they have a title, a regular title. Other people that take the program are people who are impacted by change. They're in their organization and there's changes going on around them and they want to understand more about how they can deal with those changes, how they can be part of those changes. Or it could just be people that are impacted by change even in their personal lives and want to know more about it. Sometimes we have people or whole entire teams take the program that are coming up on a major initiative, maybe some sort of digital transformation, that sort of thing. And they want to jumpstart the team. So sometimes we get several people from an organization that all want to get on the same page and develop their change management skills. And if people are simply just interested in change management, then absolutely, this would be a good program for you. There are no prerequisites. Everybody is welcome. And whether or not you've been part of a change initiative, it's almost impossible now to work in 2021 and not be impacted by change. So this just a little overview of the certifications. There's the foundations, which is 5 sessions. They're half-day sessions in the afternoon. And then there's the exam. And then there's the practitioner, which is 3 half-day sessions and the exam. And we are selling this as a package. And you might say, well, I don't know if I'm ready to take the whole thing, but it's really not that much more to take both. And we learn from the experience of others. So even if you feel you don't have the experience to take both foundations and then the practitioner, you'd be surprised how much you will learn by being in a learning environment, by being in the classroom with other people, because we learn from the experience of others. Okay, first I'd like to now, before we get any deeper to the actual certifications, like to talk a little bit about a change model. Now, this model is derived from William Bridges. You may also know this model as something that resembles Elizabeth Kubler-Ross model. And it's about managing transitions. So along the bottom, we have time, and along the one side, we have impact. And impact goes from negative to positive. And so the initial thing that usually happens with change is denial. Now here in this model, it shows it as being relatively neutral. But then the resistance starts, and that tends to get negative. And then we have to help people through that phase so we can get them into that neutral zone. They have to sort of say goodbye to their old systems. So that's the endings. Then they move to the neutral zone, the accepting, and then they get into the commitment, the new beginnings. And this is a model. It's not a law. It's not like it's like this for everybody and it's like this all the time for everybody. It's how we often will view change, and it holds true a lot of the time. But what I'd like you to do is to share your experience. So if you can go up to the toolbar there, click on the annotate, and then pick on one of the drawing tools there and draw the change model that you have seen. Like perhaps the denial you figure is more negative, so start it lower down. Or do people go from denial right through to acceptance? Is it a straight line right across? So grab a drawing tool and show me what your experience has been dealing with people and change. And everybody find the drawing tool. So up at the top, annotate, draw, and then click on a pen. I'm not seeing any drawings. Don't have those options on the screen, I'm hearing. Can't find the drawing tool. Can't see the option. Okay. Okay, don't have the feature, doesn't exist, don't see the toolbar. Push your cursor up to the top of the screen, and that toolbar, that ribbon should pop open. If you go right to the top, like you'll see it. You'll see it. So almost like put your cursor off the screen at the top, and then down comes the ribbon. Okay, so Samantha's saying, we don't think we have access. Okay, all right, doesn't open for you. Okay, so maybe Mary Eleanor, if you can look into that, if there's some permission you need to give so people can actually draw and do stamps and things like that. There might be a permission, I know.
Have access, okay.
Yeah, I know with my GoTo, when I do courses with GoTo training, I actually have to enable the drawing. Well, I'll let you look at that. And so, okay, so I'm just going to ask it verbally and people can write in the chat window. Is this typically what you see, or do you see different patterns? Do you see resistance going all the way to the bottom, or do you see resistance as maybe being a little bit more, neutral in terms of the impact between positive and negative? Oh, okay, longer resistance periods. Lynn is saying longer. Yeah, yes. Yes, I think that's fair. I think that this is a pretty little picture and it's got 4 little sections, but quite honestly, that resistance section can take like 10 times as long as everything else. Yeah, resistance can take a really, really long time for sure. So let's just talk a little bit about resistance. So signs of change resistance. So what are some of the common signs? And again, you can just type in some of the common signs that you would see that would indicate that there's resistance. People are resisting. Okay. Oh, we've always done it this way. Oh, don't you love that when they say that? Oh, they want to return to their old habits. Offside chats, yes. Creatures of habit, we don't have any, we don't. Lots of good comments here. People are afraid they won't have the skills. Yeah. So we mean to make sure that we understand what skills are required and make sure that we get them those skills. Push back on new initiatives. Hey, it works. Why it work? Hey, oh yes, that's a good one. It ain't broken. Why should we change it? If it ain't broken, don't fix it. Well, process improvement. We always want to keep changing things. Everything's working fine. Oh, there's so many I can hardly read them all that are coming by. And people are seeing it's a lot of work to implement something. It's not how we've done it before. No one asked me. Oh, no one asked me. Oh, that's a big one, isn't it? Yeah. So lots of signs of resistance for sure. Now, what about passive resistance? Because you can have resistance where people are being very aggressive about it and actually almost openly sabotaging your project. But you can have more subtle passive resistance. What are some of the indications of passive resistance? Undermining, lack of engagement, yeah. Being negative, non-responsive, lack of participation. Oh, I'll look at, oh, that's a good one. I'll look into it later, except that they won't. They're just kind of saying that. They're not completing their tasks. They're just continuing with the old system. They're not saying I refuse to use the new system. They're just continuing the old system, or maybe they're just not showing up for meetings and so on. So they agree to do something. Oh yeah, I'll do that. But then they don't follow through. Or I love this one here, the feigning ignorance. Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to do that. That was me. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I was supposed to do that. Oh, I'll get right on that. And then of course they just avoid doing it. Or they withhold information. They have information they need to share and they go, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you needed to know that. Oh, my bad, I'm so sorry. But then they still continue to withhold information. So lots of other good comments here, not showing up for meetings. They don't read their communications, they're not participating. So is this something you've seen a lot of? You probably have seen a lot of this. And resistance is a big part of what we manage when we're going through change, and we have to be incredibly proactive when it comes to dealing with change. Everybody's different. And when everybody's different, then we need to deal with them as individuals and have different plans for how we're going to work with different people to get them through this change, because we can't force people to change. There are certain things we can do, like take away their old system, but we have to get people on board and we have to get people moving forward together. And so that's a lot of what we talk about during the change management program. So first of all, let's go back now to the foundation course and some of the learning objectives for the foundation course. So it's about dealing with people, strategies for dealing with people. And then once we get dealing with people, we're dealing with teams, how we deal with teams, and then how we deal with organizations and different organizational models, that sort of thing. We look at drivers of change, governance structures, and we also learn about how to define a change vision, which is very important for any change. We want to know how we can support people through the change in terms of what skills they need, what they need to learn, how we can keep them motivated, the whole engagement process, the communication process. And engagement is not a matter of simply having good communication with them, or frequent communication, I should say, by saying, here's the change, this is what we're doing. That's not engagement. It's got to be a two-way dialogue for sure. What is the impact on the organization? Because you can't change one thing and not consider the impact it has on the rest of the organization. And we have to figure out how we can actually build momentum and then sustain that momentum. And then finally, we have to look at the teams and the different roles that we have on the teams. There is a little bit of pre-work. There is a book, and it's this Change Manager's Handbook. And that's a book you buy in advance, and it's probably good to have a little bit of a read in advance. And this is where the online course, I think, works much better than in the classroom, because in the classroom, it was 5 days straight, very hard on the head. Whereas because we're doing half days, we do 5 half days, we take a week off, we do 3 more half days. There's more time to absorb. So if people don't have all the reading done in advance, it's not a problem. They might kind of read as they go and catch up, in the evening or before the class. So we've got these 5 sessions, and it does say evening reading optional. And then after the final one, a little more study, because the following week then is the exam. So we've spaced that out. Normally you'd be writing both exams the same week as you took the course, whereas online we have the option of spreading it out a little bit. So a couple hours per day, I think, of study, of reading would be good if you haven't been doing any reading in advance. But sometimes people just prefer to focus on the course. When the course is done, then they go back and they read at that point. It's up to you. So the actual exam, it's 60 multiple choice questions, and they don't take the wrong from the right or anything like that. It's closed book, 50% to pass. And so usually it's just 4 questions, pick an answer. So I see a question here.
It's asking the sessions, would they be on the weekends?
They are not, but if you need weekends, that is something that I could arrange outside of this presentation. Normally, it's going to be a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday afternoon. Then we have a week off. There is an exam that week. Then we have another 3 days the following week, test the week after. No, the exams are included in the course. So once you've paid for the program and you've paid for the exam. The only thing you need to do is buy the book.
And can I just jump in here just for 1 second, Janice? Julie Webb has added in the link here to the course in the chat for those who are interested, but we will be distributing an email later today that will have a link to the courses that Janice is covering right now, along with the recording of today's webinar. So you will have all of that information later today. Perfect. Sorry, Janice.
That's great. Okay, so the practitioner, here we're going to do a deeper dive, whereas the foundation is knowledge-based, the practitioner is more experiential. You need to use the knowledge you've learned in the foundations course, and now you're actually applying it. And we look more into the project environment and what we actually do managing projects. So more experiential. And even if you don't have the experience, the experience of going through the program will get you there in terms of, and you do some study in terms of getting you through this exam. So ultimately, you'll be in a position with your change management practitioner, your CMP, you'll be able to go back to your organization and actually be a valuable person on a change team, or even lead a change, and have the CMP certification. That's what it looks like in terms of the sessions. And the session number 8, usually that session is actually you're working on your own. The instructor's there online and you're doing practice tests. So we do give you practice tests to do, so you get used to how the tests actually go. So, you know, because we're often not test writers in our regular day-to-day life, so we need some practice on writing tests. So we give that to you. So the foundation is more knowledge-based, practitioner, application. Practitioner exam is 2.5 hours. It's open book. And here's my book. Look at all this mess here. What this is, it's the tabs that I put on. Because it's open book, if they're referring to a certain model, like if they're talking about Shine's model, or I can go, okay, there we go, and I can just flip it open to the right page if I want to, you know, refresh or recheck something in the book. But obviously, you can't be checking everything because you just don't have time. I mean, in some ways, open book are a little harder than closed book because you have to know a lot of the information in advance. It's more there as a support document. Multiple choice questions, multiple response, as in there might be six possible responses, and they'll tell you 2 are correct. You need both correct in order to get the mark for it. Matching something in one column with another, and then the assertion, reasoning, where they'll say, you know, one sentence, and then it'll be linked with because, and then there'll be another sentence, and you have to say if it's true or false. So that's the format for the practitioner exam. So that one's a little bit more complicated than the foundation exam. And those are the different sections: change in the individual, change in the organization, or communication stakeholders, and change management practice. And again, it's 50% is the pass mark. So the logistics for the exam are that you write it online, and there'll be a proctor from ProSec, title shift. You turn on your camera and you show us your environment so we can see that there's no one else in the room and helping you write the test, and you just keep your camera on, and we can then watch the people writing the test, because we can tell if they're doing this, you know, we know, or they're, you know, having some kind of dialogue with someone else. We know that that's not quite what we want to see going on. But you can write this in the comfort of your own office, in the comfort of your own home, which is great. So the certification is internationally recognized. You can put CMP behind your name, and it will really position you rather nicely for leading change in your organization. The certification is from APMG, which is an international organization headquartered in England, offices in other places in the world. This is all aligned with the Change Management Institute. And so it's a very good organization, a very recognizable certification. Trainers that teach this course have to be certified, first of all, in change management, but they also have to go through a certification process to train, and they're watched on video, and they have to submit all their video hours of training, and they get assessed. And then we also have a system for checking the quality and checking the knowledge and experience of the trainers. So you get the best, That's the schedule. So Monday through Friday. And then we've got a week off where there's an exam, and then we've got 3 more days. So that's the schedule that we have coming up for the upcoming one. There's one in the fall as well, but that's the upcoming one. Are both exams taken virtually, or will they be in person? Virtually. You're working from your, oh, never mind, she says, okay. Once certified, you have to renew your credentials every 5 years. You renew every 5 years. Yeah. And you may find that after 5 years that you've been doing a lot of change management projects, and wherever you're working knows you're a good change manager. They may have moved you into that position because you had your CMP, but now they know you've got the skills and the experience. They might not care if you renew the certification. But if you've been practicing change management, it won't be that hard to renew it. Now, what types of change have you experienced? And you can look down this list, and I suspect you can probably identify with a lot of these things. As I go down this list myself, just in my life, just about everything. And I think one of the biggest things we've all gone through recently is the change to the virtual environment. And that has created a lot of change for a lot of people. So Change comes in many different forms, and it's never just one change we're dealing with. We're often dealing with several different changes coming from several different parts of the organization, and that really makes life challenging for us, for sure. Okay, how are we doing for time? I think it's 11:25 on the nose. So that's what, here we go. Okay, perfect, because we wanted to save 5 minutes for questions at the end.
And so there's one from Brittany here in the chat, Janice. What does the renewal process entail every 5 years?
There's another exam. You rewrite the exam. That's what it is at this point now. Might that change? Because I've noticed in project management, there's a certified associate in project management. Now, recently they decided you don't have to rewrite that. So that changed. So that may change. Oh, can I go back to the date slide? I can.
And there's one question here in the Q&A. And the question is, do you have to do foundation before the practitioner certification?
Yes, you have to do foundation before practitioner. Now, you have to actually have passed the foundation exam in order to write the practitioner exam. But you don't have to have passed foundation to take the practitioner course. Does that make sense? So you have to have passed the foundation exam before you can actually challenge the practitioner exam. Okay.
So you could take the foundation course and exam, successfully pass both, and circumvent the practitioner course and take the practitioner exam if you wish.
I wouldn't circumvent the course. I wouldn't circumvent the course. It's just that in order to challenge the practitioner exam, you'll have to have passed the foundation exam. In my particular case, just based on my schedule, I took the foundation and I didn't take the exam. Then I took the practitioner, and then I wrote the foundation, and then I wrote the practitioner.
Oh.
Okay. But mind you, then it was written online I had to write it online through this offshore platform. It was a lot more awkward than it is now. Complete the practitioner.
And there's a question.
Yes. Yeah. You take the foundation course and exam and then complete the practitioner. Yes, that's certainly possible. We could, if that's what we can probably work that out. Yes.
Okay, there are just a few questions. Is there a limit to enrollment for each cycle? And is this the program that is tuition waiver approved?
I don't believe this is tuition waiver approved. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm getting a no on that. And maybe someday it is. It will be, but at this point it is not. The $28.50 is the price for both. Any other questions?
Okay. And is there a limit to enrollment for each cycle, Janice?
Yes, we do. We do limit the class because when we're online, well, even in a classroom or online, we want to make sure that everybody has enough time so that they can ask questions and participate. So there are limitations. So if this is something you're interested in, I suggest you get registered ASAP because there are limitations. And it can work both ways. If you register late, it could be full. If you go to register late, and everybody does that because these days people are uncertain as to what they're doing and when they're doing it, and they try to do things last minute, and it doesn't work out so well because then we can find out, that we've canceled the course because we didn't have registration, and then now we've got 20 people that want to be registered. It's too late. But I'm not sure where the registration stands right now. But if you are interested, I would definitely get onto that and get registered. The course is filled. Yes, it will be offered again. Absolutely.
And is there a time frame you have to do the 2 exams?
Well, we have the one exam scheduled for March the 25th, which is the following week, I believe on the Thursday, and then the next one was on April the 6th. And the reason I picked those dates for the exams is just from my own personal experience, is I figure it gives you enough time to take the course, study, write the test, because if you put too much time between the course and the exam, you almost have to roll the snowball back up the hill again. So this is kind of, in a perfect world, an ideal scenario is to get the exam done the next week, take the other course, and get the exam done the following week. And inclusive of HST, I'm not the best person to answer that. I think it is, but I would have to defer to someone from Dalhousie on that. And
It's in Canadian dollars.
Yes, Canadian.
And Julie, so Julie Webb is our program manager, and Youtheni is Emmett is our program director. And I wonder if they might be able to speak to just a question here, whether it is inclusive of HST, and also someone is asking about the dates that it's being offered in the fall. Do we have those confirmed yet? I don't believe we do. And would a notification go out to the Dal community when it is? So really good question. We can certainly make sure that that's included in internal communications and Today at Dal. I would encourage anyone who's interested in learning about when our courses are coming up to sign up for our newsletter. And I can make sure that there is a link to sign up for our newsletter. That would be the best way to be informed. Youtheni is indicating here that it's not inclusive of HST, and fall dates to be confirmed very soon. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Final questions? Dalhousie. Dalhousie is how it's pronounced. Yes, it isn't. I mean, I'm not an international person, but I know the very first time when I was a young one and I saw the name Dalhousie, I took a second look at it and went, what is that? How do you say that? Okay, so Julie's putting in dates. That's great. Thank you very much, Julie.
And the time shown, is it in Atlantic Standard Time?
Atlantic, yes, from 1 to 4:30 Atlantic. And we do an hour, we take a 15-minute break, we do another hour, we take a 15-minute break, and then we drive it home for the final hour. So you're never really sitting at your computer, staring at your screen for more than an hour, except of course for the final exam, which is longer. Any other
so
questions?
we can wrap up there, and thank you so much, Janice. Oh, sorry, there's just one other question. Are the sessions recorded in the event you miss a time?
Yes, we can record the sessions, but what I suggest you do is, if you know you're going to miss the session, make sure you let the instructor know so that the session is recorded, because it's just best to sort of say, look, I'm going to miss Friday. Can you make sure you record the session for me? Or I'm going to miss the first hour of tomorrow, whatever. Let them know in advance. And yeah, but you don't want to miss too much. You might miss a session, or you might miss an hour here or there, but if you start missing a couple of days, it does start to kind of impact the flow of the course for you. Yeah.
How long is the training going to be for? Sorry, we're just getting a few more questions coming in here.
How long each day? From 1 until 4:30, Monday to Friday for the foundations, and then we've got the 3 more days for the change management practitioner, again 1 to 4:30. So it's just a significant commitment. It certainly is, but it's a great deal of information, and it really does come together very well at the end. And I've been through the process, and I really learned a lot. And I'm a project manager. I've been making people have to accept changes and putting people through change for a couple of decades now. So I found that there was things here that I went, yeah, I know that, and other stuff I went, oh. Never thought of it that way. That's pretty interesting. I'm gonna have to keep that one in mind for next time.
Janice, I hope that perhaps we can just keep you for one more minute. There is
absolutely
a question, just a couple of other questions, and it seems that people want to hang on to make sure they're answered. So one here from Renee in the Q&A: is the training larger project focused strategies, or can this be applied to something smaller, like implementing new workflow processes and bringing
absolutely it can be absolutely any change. It doesn't have to be a huge transformational project. It can be incremental change. It can be a process improvement. It can be anything, because it might not seem like a big project to us, or much of might not seem like a large initiative to us, but for someone, changing that process might be quite disturbing in terms of their routine. So absolutely, projects of any size, or initiatives of any size, And even if it's not being called a project and an organization is undergoing some sort of change, then this course is going to be helpful.
Just a question from Mike here. When is it being offered next? As we recognize that for some people these dates won't be suitable, and so just in the next month or so we'll be confirming the dates for the fall. So if you have indicated to receive communications from us, pardon me, and then you will receive a notification in the next month or so when that course, when the fall dates are available to register. And there's a question here, how is this program different from PMP?
The PMP is the project management professional. So it's about managing the project. So the types of things we're doing there are project charters and work breakdown structures and figuring out deliverables and budgets and schedules and risk and all those sorts of things. So that's the project management side of it. The change management piece is really how you deal with change, how you deal with the people, how you get the people through your current state to the future state so that they're not resisting and fighting you, and how we communicate and support and help people through that, how we make sure that that change is going to stick in the organization, that we can sustain it, that sort of thing. So it goes rather nicely, actually. It's good with the PMP. I mean, if people have that certification, they're going to find that this is going to be very helpful. Because as a project manager, what you do is you're creating change. And a lot of people will say to me, they've got their PMP. Now, what do? They want advanced project management. So they think advanced project management is advanced scheduling and advanced budgeting and advanced risk management. Well, I suppose it could be, but a lot of what advanced project management is dealing with people and dealing with change and managing change and managing people through that change process. So it's very good program for project managers, business analysts, for managers of any kind, subject matter experts, team members. Pretty much everybody can benefit. I'm trying to think of any case where there's someone who wouldn't benefit from change management, but unless someone is in a strictly operational environment where there's no change at all, and I don't even know that exists anymore, they're going to benefit from studying and taking a program in change management.
There was just a comment here about the registration link, and so I just want to clarify, when you visit the link that I've added in the chat, it will take you to the information on Change Management Foundation as well as practitioners. So you'll see the dates for the foundation, the March 15th to 19th, and then you'll see the Change Management Practitioner March 29th to 31st on that link that I provided.
Yes, the training does count for PDUs. In fact, it's going to count for, let me get the number right, it's going to count for 35 PDUs. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a lot of PDUs for one course. And how does the program help in leading UNESCO projects in education? Well, I can't speak specifically for UNESCO. What I can speak for is education, in that our educational environment has changed a lot in the last year, last 10 months, and it will continue to change. And so people that are educators have had to go through a lot of change. And so I think the program would be very helpful from that perspective. And also to understand more about some of the models and how you can help people through change, because the students too have gone through tremendous changes. Now, sometimes students can be quite resilient. And you may have teachers who maybe are at times less resilient because they've done the same thing the same way for 30 years and now they have to change. And they don't have a choice in the matter. But how do you support them through that? So we'll learn some of those tools and get some of those tools and techniques in your toolkit.
That's great, Janice. And there you've addressed a question earlier, how can it be helpful, particularly for teachers and educators? And you've really hit the nail on the head there. Okay. Great. Wonderful. So I don't see other questions in the chat, but certainly welcome other questions. Janice's contact information will be included in the email follow-up later today. So if you do have any other questions, feel free And there's her email address there too. So thanks so much, Janice. A lot of interest and activity in today's webinar, which is really encouraging and such a timely topic. And as I said, the recording of the webinar will be in the email, as well as the registration link for the course, should you wish to register. So thanks so much again. Really appreciate your time. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining and hanging on a few minutes afterward to get your questions answered. Really appreciate it. And some thanks coming in the chat here. So take care and enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, everybody. Hope to see you at some point in one of the courses.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, take care, everyone. Bye for now.